In the year 2057, the sun is dying, and humanity faces extinction. In an attempt to restart the sun, 8 astronauts are selected to board the spacecraft Icarus I and carry a massive stellar bomb with the mass of Manhattan Island. However, the spaceship disappears before they reach the star. After a while, they lose contact with Earth, so no one is aware of their whereabouts. Sorry for the small pause. It took a lot of hard work to find the movies, make the script, and edit them. Little request, please show your support. A new crew of 8 is sent out in the Icarus II to try again 7 years later, during Earth's solar winter. First, there's Searle, the psychological officer and ship's doctor, who has developed a sun-watching obsession. In order to see as much brightness as possible without burning himself, he even requests that the Icarus AI refilter the observation room panel. He finds the whole crew, the engineer James Mace, the pilot Cassie, the biologist Corazon, the communications officer, and second-in-command Harvey, the ship's captain Kaneda, the navigator Trey, and the physicist in charge of the bomb, Robert Capa, to be so amazing that he suggests doing it to them all over dinner. However, the concept doesn't appeal to any of them. The crew should send home their final messages, because Kaneda tells them that the solar wind reading is significantly higher than they had predicted at this distance, and that they will soon enter the dead zone, which will prevent them from communicating with Earth. Capa makes a video for his sister and parents, informing them that they will know if they are successful if the sun comes out by the time they receive this message, even though they are unable to get in touch with him. But he takes so long to record this that his crewmates can't record it in time, which infuriates Mace, who tries to pick a fight with him. Once the others have separated them, Mace is sent to speak with Searle, who informs him that he has lost track of time and gives him a 2-hour prescription to spend in the Earth room, a room that serves as a replica of their home to help them relax. Kaneda is worried about the reports from Icarus's captain Pinbacker. Corazon reassures him about the oxygen production, but Kaneda remains uneasy, especially when Pinbacker praises damage to his ship. The crew gets distracted when Cassie discovers they're passing Mercury, and everyone gathers to watch. Later, Harvey finds an important transmission in the communication systems, Icarus I's distress signal. It's only detectable now, because they're on Mercury's dark side, acting like an antenna. The crew debates whether to change course to help Icarus War. Mace thinks it's risky, but there could be survivors and resources they need. They let Capa decide, trusting his physics expertise. Capa calculates the risks and orders them towards Icarus the Reaver. Trey adjusts the course but forgets to shield the ship from the sun, damaging critical panels. As Cassie leads Kaneda and Capa on a spacewalk to repair the damaged shield, she angles the damaged area away from the sun, resulting in the loss of 2 outlying communications towers that are currently inoperable. Sadly, Corazon must watch as O2 is released to put out the fire as a result of the reflected light destroying the ship's oxygen garden and oxygen reserves. Re-angling the shield is necessary, but doing so would kill Capa and Kaneda, who haven't finished the repairs yet. Cassie and Harvey want to wait, but Mace reminds them that safeguarding the payload comes first, and Kaneda concurs. Thus, Kaneda sends Capa back inside and gives his life to fix the final panel while Icarus utilizes the autopilot to correct the ship's rotation. Shortly after, Trey becomes suicidal due to his guilt, so Searle has to put him under sedation to render him catatonic. Harvey assumes the role of captain, taking over from his second-in-command. He tells the crew that they are running out of oxygen to make it to their destination, much less survive the journey, and that their only option is to attempt to contact the Icarus I, in the hopes that they will be able to salvage enough to continue. Corazon informs Mace, Cassie, and Corazon in a private conversation that even if they lost 3 people, their current oxygen levels would still be sufficient. This is after everyone else leaves to finish their chores. Following their brief conversation, Cassie confides in Capa that she fears death, but he acknowledges that he does not. Harvey, Mace, Capa, and Searle board Icarus II after it has finally docked with Icarus I in order to search the vessel, disregarding the fact that the lights are out and the ship is covered in dust, which is probably human skin. They divide the group in order to search more efficiently. Corazon is thrilled to see that Harvey has left the garden unaltered after 7 years of unrestrained growth. Trey verifies that the second bomb is working properly, and Searle makes sure there is enough food and water for everyone. Mace finds that everything is working well too, with the exception that he isn't receiving any information from the flight computer. As he looks further into the files, he finds a recording of Pinbacker's rambling message that begins to play. With a burned face, he says they've given up on the mission because they shouldn't disobey God. It was precisely at this time, 6.5 years ago, that the transmission code was supposed to deliver the payload. In the process of seeking an explanation, Mace discovers that the mainframe has been compromised, rendering the Icarus Y unfeasible and formally ending this diversion. When Searle eventually makes it to the observation room, he discovers the crew sitting in front of the panel after letting the sun burn them to ashes. The outer door of Icarus I breaks, leaving the 4 men stranded while Icarus Thecan drifts away. Suddenly, the 2 ships disconnect explosively. Kappa is the only one who knows how to use the payload, so Mace and Searle decide he should have it. Harvey, the captain, disagrees, but they ignore him. Mace has a plan to keep warm using insulation from the ship's walls while they jump ships. However, someone needs to stay behind to open the hatch because of a computer problem. Searle volunteers. They use the vacuum to jump between ships but accidentally hit one, forcing them to let go. Only Kappa makes it to the other ship. Harvey floats away and freezes, but Mace grabs onto a rail, allowing Kappa to pull him inside. Searle accepts his fate and sits in the observation room, letting the sun burn him, while Cassie says goodbye over the comms. Mace suspects someone manually disconnected the airlocks, despite no malfunctions in the records. Trey is the only one left for the job since the men and women were already paired up on Icarus II and Icarus I. But Trey is so heavily sedated that moving seems impossible, making Kappa doubtful. Corazon suggests killing Trey, and Mace agrees, since losing one more won't affect the mission. Kappa thinks Icarus I might have gone crazy, but he still agrees because it helps humanity. Corazon and Cassie don't fully agree, but Mace leaves to do the job. He finds Trey missing from the bed and discovers him dead in the Earth room. Mace blames Kappa for the deaths and demands accountability. Kappa and Mace argue and struggle, struggling to breathe due to low oxygen. Kappa checks the oxygen while Icarus reveals there's not enough for all of them. Kappa realizes there's a 5th person in the observation room, unidentified. When Kappa arrives, he sees the viewing panel lit up by bright sunlight. Pinbacker, who's gone mad and disfigured, stands there talking about God, angels, and other strange things. He suddenly attacks Kappa with an electric scalpel, cutting his stomach before the scalpel runs out of power. Pinbacker then asks for more sunlight and chases Kappa until Kappa gets inside an airlock and closes the door. Pinbacker locks the door manually to trap Kappa inside. Meanwhile, Corazon finds a tiny plant in her ruined garden and plans to tell the crew, but Pinbacker finds her and kills her with the scalpel. When Pinbacker returns to the airlock, he tries to stop his bleeding with a vest, but realizes the ship has lost power, trapping him inside. Cassie wakes up and sees Pinbacker outside, so she runs away. Mace tries to restart the computer using an emergency battery but fails. He spots Kappa on security cameras and tells him to use the suit's communicator. This will allow Kappa to inform him about Pinbacker and his sabotage. Upon hearing this, Mace immediately runs to the coolant tank and plunges into the icy water to replace the panels Pinbacker removed. He succeeds in restoring power just in time to see Pinbacker approaching Cassie at the Earth room and attempting to harm her. Cassie uses the scalpel Trey had used to stab Pinbacker, but fortunately for her, he gets distracted by the shadows and grabs Trey instead. Cassie then flees again and hides in the room with the bomb. Mace contacts Kappa while his leg becomes trapped in the coolant tank, causing his body to slowly freeze to death. He informs Kappa that they are in orbit, but that he may not be able to restart the computer, so he will have to manually detonate the payload by removing it from the ship. As Mace begs Kappa to complete the mission, he passes away. Wearing the astronaut suit, Kappa uses a torch to drill a hole in the door leading to the hallway. After tying himself up to the wall, he unscrews the cover covering the emergency button and presses it. As a result, the main hatch is forced open and the hallway door blows up, allowing Kappa to re-enter the ship due to the pressure from the outside and the hole in the metal. Following his discovery of Mace's frozen corpse, he proceeds to the control room, initiates the process of separation, and then, as the sun burns down Icarus II, leaps from the ship into the now separated bomb room. He removes the suit inside the bomb and approaches Cassie, who is sitting on the floor staring at nothing in particular. With barely a word exchanged, he is ambushed by Pinbacker, who takes Kappa by the neck and drags him over the edge of the bomb, intending to drop him into the abyss while babbling about the sun as though it were his god. At that moment, Cassie loses his mind and rushes to assist Kappa. Together, they succeed in severing his hold by tearing the skin off one of his arms. Now that the bomb is finally approaching the sun, Cassie orders Kappa to complete it after he gets thrown around a little from the shaking. Kappa rushes to the controls and activates the payload as he notices Pinbacker waiting for him by the edge of the bomb, but he chooses to ignore him and focus on the mission. After the bomb detonates, Kappa observes the sun rekindle and even reaches out to touch it before passing away. When Kappa returns to Earth, his sister reads his message again before seeing the sunrise for the first time in a long time with her children. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.